We are officially recording.
One, here we go. Call to order. This is the German Village Commission meeting hearing. Today is May 7th, 2025. It is 4:05 p.m. We're here at 111 North Front Street, second floor, room 204. The next business meeting will be Wednesday, May 21st, 2025 at 12 p.m. here at 111 North Front Street, second floor, next door, room 205. The next hearing will be Wednesday, June 4th, 2025 at 4 p.m. here at 111 Front Street, second floor, room 204. Go ahead and swear in staff. You swear to tell the truth, all truth, nothing but the truth.
I do.
And your name?
Kimberly Bernard Sheehy.
Thank you very much. And we'll go to the commissioners present on my left.
Edward Thiel.
Anthony Hartke, Chair.
Rachel Schultz.
Effie Ian, Charissa Durst.
Any items for public forum?
No, not today.
No items for public forum.
And commissioners, if you can remember to make sure those microphones are on, please.
Yes. Make sure your lights are on. Can't talk into them.
Thank you.
We'll go ahead and move to the staff approvals, which begin on page 8. Wasn't me.
Was me and this one doesn't turn off.
No.
All right, we'll try that again. Staff approvals begin on page 8. Are there any recusals?
Mr. Chairman, I have to recuse myself on 622 Mohawk Street.
Check it real quick. I need to recuse myself on 382 Jackson Street, which is COA 2500319. Yeah. If there are none others, if there are no others, is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I move to ratify the staff approvals.
Second.
Any questions on the motion? All those in favor? Aye. Against? Ayes have it, motion passes. Moving on to the approval of minutes from last meeting, April 2nd, 2025.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the minutes.
Second.
Any questions on the motion? Those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Ayes have it, motion passes. Moving on to the COAs. Item number 1, COA 2500353, 898 900 South 3rd Avenue.
All right, this application is a variance recommendation request to City Code 3312.09 to reduce the minimum, the aisle from 20 feet to 13 feet. And City Code 3312.13 subsection D to allow automobiles to back out of the parking lot. These two variances are in addition to the previously approved and recommended variances at the January 2025 German Village Commission hearing. At the May business meeting, the commission had no requests for additional information from the applicant. HBO staff note the applicant has. Staff recommends the commission recommend the variances as submitted. The basis for recommendation is the proposed work is somewhat consistent with the German Village guidelines. The zoning variances on page 139 of those guidelines.
Before we go forward, I forgot to ask, is the applicant here?
Yep.
Take a seat.
Jack Reynolds, attorney Smith and Hale.
Real quick. You swear to tell the truth, whole truth, nothing but the truth.
I do.
There you go. And your name.
Jack Reynolds, I'm attorney Smith and Hale at 37 West Water Street, Columbus, Ohio. 37 West, 43215. I'm back in front of you this afternoon, even though the site plan had been submitted to the city of Columbus. The traffic division determined that the 90-degree parking that was provided on the original application only gave us 13 feet of back out area or length, with 2 additional feet to the house next door. There was some concern about that maneuverability, so we were required to reorient the parking spaces So what you're seeing before you this afternoon are angled parking spaces. And so when we angled it, we lost a parking space on the parking lot area. And in order to pick up the parking space, we had to provide one in the garage. And so what happened at that point in time, the bell rang and they were looking at this as if it were a true parking lot, because the definition of a parking lot is 5 spaces or greater. So you can't back out of a parking lot. And so we need a variance that allows us to back out on 3rd Street. And the other variance is that because this now becomes 2-way parking under their scenario, we should have 20 feet for traffic going both north and, or east and west. So we needed to lower that 20 feet to 13 feet because we had the 13 feet previously. But now they were looking at this as if it were a parking lot and needing 20 feet of drive aisle width. So we had to add the 2 parking spaces, the 2 variances that are before you this afternoon, because we had to angle the parking and consider it a parking lot. All of the other considerations, we are keeping, obviously, the space up front where we're doing the landscaping and doing the screening. So that's all still there. Nothing has changed as a condition of moving forward. But we thought we were going to council and we're back in front of you this afternoon. I can answer any questions, but January to May, here we are.
Any questions from the commission?
Motion, Mr. Chairman.
I will take a motion if there's no questions.
On item COA 2500-353-898-900 South 3rd Street, I move to ratify the zoning variances.
Second.
Recommend the zoning variances, I'm sorry.
Second.
Any questions on the motion? I want to make clarification that this is existing parking lot, it's maintaining, still being a parking lot. It's just getting within compliance with what zoning needs. No change to the property. All right, if there's no other questions, all those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Let's have it, motion passes.
Thank you, folks, and hopefully we'll get it to council now.
Here's open. All right, moving on to item number 2, COA 25006577 City Park. Just go ahead and take a seat, and once you're settled, if you'll raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Yes.
Your name?
Larry Haber.
Thank you.
Elaine Rockwell.
Thank you.
All right, this application is for an exterior building alteration for a handrail. But this application is the result of a code violation. The violation number is 25444-00004. And it's for the installation of 2 metal handrails, one at each door entrance on the primary or west elevation. The application was continued at the March 2025 hearing. We have the commissioner comments from that meeting. Would you like me to read those?
Yeah, go ahead and read those.
All right, so the commissioner comments from that meeting are the commissioners confirmed that the installed railing is too ornate for the architectural style of the property. Simple railings are required per page 68 of the German Village Guidelines. Historically, no railings would have been designed to match the fence on the property. Some commissioners concluded that if the finials were removed, then the railing might be considered appropriate. The applicant should submit new drawings of a different railing for the next review. Importantly, no additional work should be completed before a COA is issued. At the May business meeting, the commission had no request for additional information, but did inform the applicant that some commissioners may conclude the newly proposed handrail is still too ornate due to the pickets, and it would be a conversation for the hearing. The German Village guidelines recommend that if a porch is to be rebuilt or expanded, use a simple design and avoid the addition of brackets, scroll, spindles, and other decorative detail. Therefore, HBO staff would recommend that pickets are removed from the new handrail design. Staff recommends approval of the application with any and all clarifications to be submitted to staff prior to review and approval, prior to the issuance of a certificate with the following conditions, and that condition being the final approved railing be a similar design with no decorative pickets below the railing. Basis for staff recommendation is City Code 3116.11, the standards for alteration, specifically subsections 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10, 11, and 12, and the Crown Commission German Village guidelines regarding porches and stoops.
Anything else to add? Question?
One thing I want to
Sure.
add is that you mentioned about the, if the videos were taken down, that some of the commission would have accepted it. I was never told that. We were never told that. I, just as a point, I don't know where.
We removed them.
Well,
Railings are gone. We removed them.
The railings are gone, or the,
railings.
The whole railings are
Okay.
gone.
Because I didn't know that.
gotcha.
We had talked after the meeting,
Yeah,
and I said, I don't know what to do, and he said, you gotta remove the railings.
yeah, because that's what we
Remove the
decided.
railings.
So,
Okay.
other than that, no comments.
Sure. So just want to make sure I'm clear on this. You're proposing what's here on the screen, correct? Putting these in?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
all right. I want to make sure you weren't proposing not putting railings in. That was,
No, we can railings.
okay, understood. I was not here for this last meeting, I don't think.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's 3/4.
Okay. Questions, comments from the commission?
My only comment is, I think what you're proposing is probably fancier than what I would anticipate or desire, but walking through the village in the last couple of weeks, there are many like this.
Sorry,
Audio
audio
issue.
issues.
I'm sorry.
Audio issue.
Oh,
Here.
So I have no problem with this. No issues.
I would concur with Commissioner Thiel that they are everywhere. My property has one. I'm not a fan of it, but I'm not.
not either.
I'm not
You gotta
gonna.
say, that's what we gotta do, that's what we gotta do. Want simple, we got simple.
Yep.
Anybody else have any issues?
No.
No,
Mr. Chairman, on COA 25000652777, can't be right. 770 City Park Avenue. I move to approve as submitted.
Second.
Any questions on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Against? Ayes have it, motion passes. Thank you very much.
Thank
What
you.
do we do next?
So staff will issue a COA for you in the next couple of days. You'll get that and then you're good to go.
I will note it'll probably be 3 to 5 business days.
That's, we'll get some mail for this.
It'll be in the portal, that where you apply to.
Okay, once we receive that, we can go to Fort Meeting.
Yes, once you have that COA.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
thank you.
All right, moving ahead to item number 3, COA 2500193-764 South Sixth Street. Hardest street to say. Once you're both settled, if you raise your right hands, one each. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Your name, sir?
John Peterson.
Thank you.
Stephanie Cook.
Thank you.
All right, this application is in 2 parts. The first for a variance recommendation request for City Code 3332.38 subsection H. Requires the habitable spaces be attached to the main residence. Variances to allow a detached habitable space above the garage. 3332.38 subsection G requires a height variance for the garage structure to exceed 15 feet in height. Existing garage is 21 feet. City Code 3332.05 subsection A 4 requires a 50-foot wide lot. The existing lot is 31.25 feet, and the variance for a variance of 18.75. City Code 3332.25 and 3332.26 requires minimum side yard, requires minimum 3-foot side yard and total side yard widths to be 20% of the lot width. Hardship of the existing site, side yards are 1.4 feet and 9% of the total required width due to the existing small lot size. And part 2 is the exterior building alteration for the garage dormers and exterior stair. Add dormers to the gable roof to allow for expansion of a second floor space above the garage. Add an exterior stair to the garage in the rear elevation. The garage was constructed in the 1990s. Staff analysis includes the following from the unapproved April 2025 GV hearing minutes, which was for a continuation of the application. Commissioner comments include commissioners expressed concern that the structure, even with the additional dormers, should not be considered a carriage house and were hesitant to recommend variances for an accessory dwelling unit at this location. The commission encouraged the applicant to discuss other possible variances, including those only for a habitable space above the garage for this property. If the kitchenette is removed from the interior design, the habitable space variance should suffice. The commission requested the applicant submit the final drawings and design for approval alongside the final list of variances. So the design is approved before or alongside with the variances. Following the April hearing, the applicant did change the requested variances to be only for the habitable space allowance and submitted the final designs for action, including the revised view of the exterior stair and the revised floor plan with the second sink illuminated. At the May business meeting, the commission confirmed that HBO staff would upload the final submitted drawings and recommended the applicant select an appropriate material for the proposed exterior stair. If the applicant would like, the commission would accept more than one proposed stair material and style for the review at the May hearing. The applicant submitted a final drawing packet that includes a different interior floor plan and clarified the second sink is an artist sink and not to serve as a kitchenette. Staff recommends the commission recommend the variance as submitted and approve the design with the following conditions. The condition being the exterior stair be constructed of a material that would minimize the visual appearance as to avoid drawing attention to the exterior stair. Basis for staff recommendation. The work proposed is somewhat consistent with the Victorian Village guidelines for the zoning variances on page 139. As well as City Code 3116.11, the standards for alteration, specifically 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 9, 10, 11, and 12, and the German Village guidelines regarding additions. And Chairperson, I'll hand it back to you.
One clarification, you did mention Victorian Village, you assuming to a typo or mistake.
So, no, that was just me.
Okay,
That's what I typically say.
I figured you needed your routine, I get it.
German, we are in German Village.
No worries.
It's necessary.
No worries, just want to make sure we're head clear on that. Anything else to add?
Only discrepancy was that the last time we were here, we talked about two dormer roof options, and I did submit both standing seam and a rubber, and I think it said stair.
Yes.
Yeah, but that was somehow got screwed up in the minutes of the meeting last time. I believe Commissioner Field said you can bring in two different roof styles of standing seam or whatever. So I've got those. In talking with my client Stephanie, it's so budget. It's going to be it's either a rubber or a standing seam depending on budget, and it's not anything that's going to be visible unless the neighbors build a tower.
All right,
I have a question.
Yeah.
So what is the difference between an artist sink and a kitchen sink?
It's just really it's gonna be a studio. I mean, so that I can do art up there, and the easiest way, I was gonna put something in there so that I could cook or whatever, but I don't have to do that because I can just, I can just go to the house. But, so there will be a bathroom in there and then the sink will be just adjacent
So
to that.
the
on the
counter
outside.
with the sink.
Pardon me?
It's just the counter with the sink and.
Correct. Correct. Yeah, just a counter so that there's space so that I could do, put stuff in there and not have to use the bathroom sink.
Thank you.
Questions or comments?
So on the application, I would like this space labeled studio.
Yeah.
So that's clear what the function of this is. In case
Okay.
something comes up later,
Mhm.
we are recorded that we approved it as a studio space with a sink.
Just for clarification, it's not saying that you would do something else with it, but future on, we're looking towards future.
Yeah.
Yeah, it won't be,
And then,
would not be subdivided or.
yeah, just for clarity,
I
this is
have
what
no
we're approving.
desire to do that.
Yeah, just, that's what we're approving, that's all.
Yeah,
And for the record, tell us what the stair is made of, because you have nothing called out here to tell us what this is.
the stair, what's the stair made of?
The guard material, is this with
There's-
flats, is
There's
it
a
wire?
picture,
Actually
there's a,
called out the two steel members.
Maybe I missed it.
Yes,
4x8 9. It's 4x8 tube steel, monostringers, 3x3 tube columns,
there's a
Two
picture of
frame.
it somewhere in there.
decking.
Yeah.
8 9. Go up
Um,
more.
Like
Sure.
that. kind of thing.
That is. Sorry. There's a company that makes this in Indiana called like View.
So my question is, are you using the tension wire as, okay, because that's what's not shown up here.
Okay,
That's,
but yes, that's the intent.
okay, because I'm seeing 1x8 tube frame and I'm wondering if that isn't the slats, but it's the wire part is what. Okay, just for the record. All right,
And then any comments on the roofing material? They have both options here. One option is the option B, stone color standing seam metal roof, which is on A6. A5 shows the EPDM. Was there a color for the EPDM option?
I think you only get two choices. You get the sort of gray and you get white.
We've seen gray, black, white, and then we did
Red.
have an application in a tinner's red color before, which we reviewed it. Not sure if we came to a conclusion on the color. Great.
Gray.
Okay.
Okay.
Any comments from the commission on roof material?
I don't think either one is objectionable.
Oh. Yes.
What did you think I was gonna say, appropriate?
Yeah,
No.
but we're okay with the cable stone railing
We do
because of
have,
the location.
because of location, we do have that in a couple other properties as guardrails around second floor decks,
Okay, I just want to make sure.
because it's in the back, yeah.
And actually, at the SHPO, I've had these revealed, and they said half of them think it's okay, and half of them think it's too modern, so they said, it's your choice.
Okay, good point,
It's good feedback from Chippo.
yeah.
Okay.
Nothing else for me.
If there's no other comments or questions, then we will take a vote or motion.
Motion, so on item COA 2500193-764 South Sixth Street, I move to approve as amended with the notation that this is a studio space with a studio sink and that either roof proposed is not objectionable. And that the guardrail system and on the stair is tension cable.
Second.
Real quick, do we need to split this to do variances?
I wondered about that. Typically, we would.
Yes, I would recommend. that
Yes.
as well.
Okay, so back up. On item COA 2500193-764 South Sixth Street, I move to split this into part A, which is the architecture, and part B, which is the zoning variances.
Second,
Got a second, any questions on that motion? So we're just splitting this application because we can approve design. We can only recommend variances because the variances go off to the variance folks. So we're splitting it so we can take a vote of approval and a vote of recommendation.
So on COA 25001937646.
We didn't vote on the
Oh,
split.
sorry.
We've got a motion on the split. We got a second on the split. All those in favor of the split?
Aye.
Against? Ayes have it. Motion passes. Okay. Now,
It's only 4.
Sorry, I know. It was 10 o'clock at night.
procedure.
COA 25001937647 South Sixth Street, Part A. I move to approve as amended with the space being denoted as a studio with a studio sink. That either roof proposed is not objectionable and that the guardrail system is of tension capable.
Second.
I will make another clarification on that the roof color for the EPDM, if that's the option chosen, provide that color to staff. And that the tension railing specifically, it's on the rear of the garage, it's on the property face.
So amended.
All right, staff is going to ask a clarifying question. The metal roof, is there a color noted?
They noted
There is.
stone and they have a sample here
Thank you.
from Dynaclad. Any other questions, or clarifications?
Second.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Ayes have it. Motion passes.
Mr. Chairman, on COA 25001937647 South Sixth Street, Part B, the zoning variances I move to recommend.
second,
Any questions on the motion? All those in favor? Aye. Against? Ayes have it. Recommend. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, moving ahead to item number 4, COA 2500204, 982 Yeager Street. Once you're settled, if you'll raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
I do.
And your name?
James A. Wright.
Thank you much.
All right, this application is for the demolition and new construction. The demolition is for the existing garage addition while maintaining the existing historic portion. The addition was approved in construction in 1998. And construction of a new 2-story carriage house addition with 1 double garage door and habitable space above. Materials would include aluminum OG gutters, pine siding, 1x4 pine slab, Pella Architect Series Reserve or Martin Ultimate windows, custom-built garage door, GAF slate line shingles in English gray, light fixture cut sheets, and final colors to be provided. Staff analysis includes the comments from the unapproved April 2025 German Village Commission hearing minutes. Those comments include commissioners concluded that wall dormers would not be allowable for the new garage addition. Wall dormers are not permitted per the German Village guidelines. Some commissioners recommended altering the roof line to allow for the same height in those spaces without the use of wall dormers. The commission discussed if the overall height and massing of the structure in relation to the neighboring garages and carriage houses. Some commissioners suggested that more spacing between the existing garage and the addition and more of a reveal of the historic garage would help with the massing differences between the old and new. An 8-inch reveal of larger is recommended. Commissioners expressed concern over the single garage door size, taking up the entire width of the new addition and about the new garage door height being taller than the existing historic garage door. They suggested reducing the width of the garage door to allow for the space on either side of the door on the elevation. The commission determined that the existing light fixtures on the garage addition would not be appropriate as over-the-door garage lights because the light is directed outward and not only downward. The commission recommended a simple downlight or gooseneck light be selected with the final design. The commission encouraged the applicant to submit any necessary variances for review with the next design submission. The applicant has amended the garage design by extending the footprint into the rear yard. the addition of a gable dormer, the alteration of the roof pitch on the rear first floor, and the removal of fall windows from the design. The applicant has also changed all light fixtures to be simple gooseneck light fixtures. The new design does not seek approval for the removal of one tree. At the May business meeting, the commission requested the applicant prepare a drawing to scale a streetscape for the garage rather than compile photo streetscape. The applicant has submitted the updated material, which has been included in the packet. HBO staff note that there are other two-story garages along the same block of Blackberry Alley and two-story alley houses on the opposite side of the alley. If the garage height is similar to those properties, HBO staff would recommend approval of the design. The streetscape should be helpful for confirming these heights. Staff recommends approval with any and all clarifications to be submitted for staff for review and approval prior to issuance of a certificate with the condition that the height of the addition is shown to be similar and appropriate based on the rendered streetscape to be submitted and a replacement tree be planted in the rear yard to replace the one removed. Basis for staff recommendation includes City Code 3116.14, these standards for demolition. City Code 3116.11, the standards for alteration, specifically subsections 1 through 5, and then 1 through 12. And City Code 3116.12, these standards for new construction, which include A, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, and N, as well as the German Village guidelines regarding additions, and City Code 3116.13, these standards for site improvements.
Whole alphabet soup.
I know.
Anything else to add?
I do not.
Questions, comments from the commission?
Much better, thank you very much. I like the separation of the masses.
Appreciate that, Ethan.
Yeah. I wish, though, that your connector roof eave was the same height as the existing garage. Is that doable?
Certainly.
Yeah,
It's a much
I think
bigger
I think it needs to look like it's
Yeah.
part of one or the other.
Okay.
And I think the existing garage is the appropriate one to drop it down to. Then you keep the ridge the same, the slopes don't have to match front to back. I think just making that work. And in the business meeting, we asked that your contextual streetscape be a drawing that's accurate and shows all of those buildings.
Yes, and I submitted that.
We don't have that.
So would this be,
No, I submitted on Thursday.
Okay.
Um, Yeah,
Yeah, if you've got it, that'd be, for me, this is a condition of.
That's there.
and staff had thought they had added it.
It's in here.
Okay.
What,
It's after the application material submitted after the business meeting. It doesn't give me a page number. Page 22.
too many versions.
Yeah, because I just got to where,
There it is.
I just got to, yeah, okay,
Next page.
yeah,
There it is.
all right. All right, thank you.
Sure.
Yeah, I got to existing materials and that. What was that? Excellent, thank you.
Right, so staff is in the middle of pulling it up. There was a slight miscommunication on where to pull materials from.
Sure. Nope, there was.
Yeah.
Bingo.
no, that wasn't,
Oh, that's the other one, sorry. 22.
I do. There we go.
nice.
Well said, I do appreciate the cross gable approach on the,
Yeah,
rather than the dormer.
yeah, it worked. So we got one really big garage there. Sure who that got approved by, but.
And I have to admit, that roof height is a guess, because without getting onto the owner's property, I couldn't measure.
Yeah,
Mhm.
But it is a tall roof,
Yeah,
because there is a third floor in that.
and even if you don't look at the roof and you look at everything else, that massing lines up. You gotta remember, the roof goes back.
Yeah.
That massing lines up with pretty much everything, including yours. Yours is a little taller, but I don't have a problem with it.
I also, I appreciate the articulation. I think it gives some, it's relating to other garages on this alley of having the two setback pieces. There's a little, it's tall, but is what it is.
Not with,
Well, it's also got fenestration in it, which
Yeah.
signifies it being a little different from the other ones.
My one question, I don't remember if we talked about this before, the trim on the new is called as 1x6.
Yes.
The commission of the photos of the measurements of what's on the existing garage is a 1x3.5.
Which would be
Her intention is to match the existing.
On
are you
page,
talking about window trim or?
on
which-
page 12,
Yeah,
8.6, the photo at the bottom is showing a 3.5 inch. But then the call out on the drawing for the new new portion of structure is 1x6.
well, that's a mistake on my part, then it's supposed to be exactly what we measured there, sorry, we should have, but.
Correct.
So we will correct that.
Yeah, because even on the existing portion, they look to be the same size.
So I'll make the statement that you match what's there. In general, the guidelines have I think it's page 78, I think. I have a detail of size of trim and whatnot, but if you had that existing garage, I think matching the existing
Yes.
would be the precedent there.
That was an intentional, apparently we labeled it wrong.
You're good with wrong. And if there is no details, like the triple window, whatever, take guidance from page 78.
Actually,
If we can get that reference of that page on the COA, so don't end up in the same position we did on the previous project.
Okay.
All right. Any other questions or comments?
I have a question. With the existing tree, to be removed, is there a plan to replace another tree that's
I'm sure
equivalent?
they do, but we haven't discussed it, but if that's a requirement, that's easy enough to accommodate.
Yeah, I think that will be necessary, to get a new tree replaced
Yeah.
for that tree.
They're big, kind of dirty trees, so something with both pine trees.
So,
Well, the new tree
So-
doesn't have to be the same,
Right.
the original
Right, I understand.
species, yeah.
So I think it should be noted this application and approval doesn't include removal of the tree.
But it's it's in the footprint.
Well, before he takes the tree down, he should be coming here to tell us what tree replacement's gonna.
I agree.
We can always pull the COA until that, like the landscaping is approved or a replacement tree.
However you want to do it. I mean, I have no problem with approving this, but taking the tree out of it and making that a separate function, either staff approval or whatever, I think would be the appropriate way to go.
I'll default to the commission's preference on that since I'm not your normal staff person.
right,
I know we'd like to see what type, size, where it's going,
Yeah.
just generally. But it should be easy enough.
So that's another reason, or can we?
is that a subcommittee item?
It could be a Karen item.
I would say we could
Karen subcommittee.
do a subcommittee on that tree replacement.
So my personal preference with subcommittees, I don't like volunteering people who aren't here because they can't make sense.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So,
I have no problem.
I can be on the subcommittee,
Yeah, we got other landscape architects.
We got one? Okay.
that's fine.
Okay.
I can be on the subcommittee.
That's fine. We need 3 or 2, okay?
two's okay.
Okay,
Okay.
we got 2.
Okay, so Mr. Chairman, on COA 2500204, 982 Jaeger Street, I move to approve as amended by the applicant that the connector eave height will match the eave height of the existing garage. The trim is to match the existing garage, or if not as indicated in the existing garage, page 78 or whatever the appropriate page is of the German guidelines for trim. The removal of the tree is not part of this application. It's taken out and will be a separate application to be reviewed by the commission on a subcommittee basis.
Go for it.
Second.
Sure. What's your question?
I would like to get approval on the variances also, or recommendation on variances. If you need to split that, it's crazy.
Wow.
Have that.
Yeah, there's the 3 variances that are on here.
You read a couple of them.
Page 4, I believe it is.
As the material submitted,
I think it's at the end. Council variance application.
Habitable space, garage height and side yard.
Have various notices gone out to adjacent property owners?
No, I haven't done the application yet. We just filled it out and I worked with the city to get the list of variances so we can get the recommendation. The timing of all this has been a little, I've been a little unsure about that, so.
So for procedural purposes, notification has to go out ahead of us taking a
Okay,
hearing on it.
all right,
Yeah, I don't have a solution for you.
okay.
so we could possibly put this on the following agenda as long as an application was submitted and those notices went out.
Yeah, we can get them out, you know,
Yeah.
early next week.
It'll have to be next month. Though.
It's procedure.
Okay.
Okay. Where are we standing? We have a motion? We have a
Motion.
motion. We have a second?
Second.
Any questions on the motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Nice have it. Motion passes. Thank you much.
Thank you. And
Again, thanks.
I'll be back next month then for the.
Variance.
All right, for my clarification, the subcommittee of commissioners Yin and Schultz.
Yes.
And then I submit that to staff. and-
Yes, you'll, I will clarify on how we're doing.
Okay. I'll look forward to hearing it.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we good?
Yeah, my only comment would be, since we still have the variances, you probably could make it part of that.
Yeah.
Next
Yeah,
meeting.
I would just make it, do everything kind of at once.
One time, at the next meeting, yeah.
All right, moving on to item number 5, COA 2500110 South Grant Street. I need to recuse myself for proximity.
Yep.
Sheffield, chair yours.
3, 2, 8.
Oh, okay, guys, raise your right hand, please. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Yes.
No. State your names.
Will Lane, Outdoor Space Design.
Brandon Shaw, Nathan Sampson, Dale Sampson.
Thanks, sirs.
All right, bear with me, this is a longer one. So this application has been administratively split by HBO staff at the request of the commission. So COA 2500110A would be for the demolition and new construction of the garage, demolishing the existing 2-car garage, and constructing a new 2-car garage with a habitable space above and covered patio. The garage would be 19 feet 9 1/8 inch. Materials would include the cedar siding, chimney, fire area, boral trim, Marvin Ultimate windows, clopay carriage, house garage doors, GAF slate line shingles, and copper downspouts. The COA 2500110B would be for the landscaping, which would include in the front yard relaying the existing brick on the aggregate base, adding a 6-inch wide and tall Indiana limestone curbs for tree planters, and installing landscaping and new trees per the submitted site plan. In the courtyard area, there would be the removal of the existing concrete paver patio and pathways, the addition of new brick path to the front door using the Bellcrest 730 on an aggregate base, the removal of existing steps and replacement with monolithic limestone steps, the addition of a freestanding fountain, removal of an existing pear tree, and replacement with 2 magnolia trees for the plan. In the driveway area, this would include removal of the existing gravel drive, with the addition of new brick driveway using the Bellcrest 730 on an aggregate base, the addition of stone cobble curb along the brick driveway. The cobble would be 3 inches above grade and be 4 inches wide, and the cobbles to be a sycamore blue limestone. The addition of a 48-inch tall wood trash enclosure fence, painted the garage trim color, the removal of the existing brick masonry retaining wall, and an addition of the stacked limestone retaining wall per the plan. Limestone would be the sycamore blue limestone. And this area would also include the addition of a 6-foot tall wood fence and gate between the house and proposed garage, and a decorative cap and rail style painted the garage trim color. In the rear patio area would include the removal of the existing concrete paver patio and pathways, removal of the existing 6-foot tall privacy fence and new 6-foot privacy fence addition, and the addition of new brick patio using the Bellcrest 730 on the decorative base, the addition of the stone cobble curb along with the planting beds along with the new garage, the cobble to be the 3-inch above grade and to be 4-inch wide, and the cobbles again to be the sycamore blue limestone, the addition of a new fountain, and the addition of new metal wall trellises, and the trellises would be the powder coated black. Excuse me, and then COA 2500110C would be the variance recommendations, and these would include City Code 3332.02 subsection A4, the area district lot width requirements to allow a lot width of 44.55 feet when 50 feet is required. This is an existing condition. City Code 3332.05C, area district lot width requirement to allow a lot width of 45.55 feet when 50 feet is required, also an existing condition. City Code 3332.14, the R2F area district requirement to allow a lot area of 3,314 square feet when 6,000 square feet is required, also an existing condition. City Code 3332.26 C2, the minimum side yard for a single family dwelling to allow a side yard setback of 0.5 feet when 5 feet is required. This is also an existing condition. City Code 3332.26E, the minimum side yard for detached garage to allow a side of 2 feet when 3 feet is required. This is a variance required. City Code 3332.38, the private garage to allow for a height of a detached garage to be 19 feet 8 inches when 15 feet is the maximum height permitted. Again, variance required. City Code 3332.38H, the private garage to allow for a habitable space in the 2nd story of a detached garage. This is also a required variance. And City Code 3312.25, private detached garage maneuvering to allow for a maneuverability distance of 12 feet 9 3/8 inches when 20 feet is required. And the variance is also required. Staff analysis includes HBO staff completed a site visit in April of 2024. On the site visit, HBO staff concluded that the existing garage was not historic and used almost all of the non-historic, non-original material. While the garage does appear on the same floor maps, the current garage does not have any historical materials associated with it. The following commissioner comments are taken from the March 2025 German Village Commission hearing minutes from the application being continued, which include the commissioners concluded that they would support the demolition of the non-historic garage so long as the final garage design is appropriate. Many commissioners concluded that the garage design was appropriate but had issues with the covered porch and chimney elements. Commissioners recommended the applicant revise the roof line of the porch, some suggesting that having the porch roof slope away from the garage would be more appropriate. The commission suggested that the chimney should not engage with the side of the building, but could be relocated to be closer to the garage. Commissioners also expressed concern over the proposed height of the chimney, noting that it was as tall as the proposed garage and that garages would not historically have had chimneys associated with the structure. After the March hearing, the applicant revised their design based on commissioner feedback. These revisions included a much simpler covered porch with a simple slope, rather than a gable, and a simple fireplace that is much shorter than the garage structure. At the May business meeting, the commission had no additional requests for information for the applicant. Staff recommends approval of the application with any and all clarifications to be submitted to staff for review and approval prior to issuance of a certificate. The basis for staff recommendation is the proposed work is somewhat consistent with the German Village guidelines regarding the zoning variances on page 139, City Code 3116.12, the standards for new construction, which include A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, M, and N, and City Code 3116.13, the standards for site improvements, specifically A, and City Code 3116.14, the standards for demolition, as well as the German Village guidelines on new constructions, specifically garages and outbuildings, the German Village guidelines on fences and walls, the German Village guidelines on walks, sidewalks, driveways, patios, and parking lots. And then finally, the German Village guidelines for exterior considerations, site lighting, street furniture, pool fountains, and gazebos.
Thank you. Commissioners, I'd like to propose that we take each one of these A, B, and C separately and discuss it and have a motion on each one before we move on to the next one. So starting with the garage and the demolition thereof and the new garage.
So, is this for the consideration of garage demolition by itself?
Yep, and whatever comments you have on,
Yeah.
how much you're proposing as a replacement.
Okay,
Can we clarify the three, so demolition of the garage
Garage and new construction is
and new
one,
construction
landscaping is two,
and
and
variance.
then the variance is three.
Okay.
Okay.
Just wanna make sure.
Okay, good.
very good.
Good question.
It's a small, just probably typo, but note that bridge height is 19.8 versus 19.9.5. Not a big deal when we're talking about this, but it was lowered from our initial application by 8 inches. In this application, taking the comments from our last hearing, we did adjust the design of the covered porch area to have basically a flat roof, a 1/4 inch per foot. And also changed the layout and the sort of fireplace element and chimney. What we're showing there is a chimney that does not, doesn't have a permanent connection to the ground. It's simply hung from the roof, and the chimney extension out at the top of the roof is 5 feet. That's the minimum chimney length overall by manufacturer's recommendation for that. We enlarged the window on that side on that gable end, simply to match the other side, because the roof we didn't have that sloped roof in the way. I will note that we did change the proposed color scheme in this application, which you can see on one of the pages there. We are calling out slate line shingles as our material for the roof, and approved, shingle, but we wanted to show a raised seam metal roof. We haven't gone through pricing, but just wanted to get commission comments on that, and hoping to have that as an option moving forward, just for the owners, and as we get down the road and we're looking at costs for the project in more detail. I think besides those elements, the application has, the architectural portion of the application has remained consistent with previous comments and previous presentations of this, mostly changing the porch and the elements around it that were impacted, like that south gable.
Commissioners? Thoughts on the roof material, the revisions?
You can find the roof material, switching between shingle and standing seam. No big deal. Color to be submitted to staff and finalized. You know, I like the patio a lot more than what we've previously seen it.
I would second that.
I think it
Much more subtle.
fits in a little bit better.
I think it's very dynamic that way. I think it's much more dynamic this way.
So the fireplace is attached to the patio
The
roof.
roof structure, yeah. It's actually structurally planned for the roof structure. So it's pretty cool. I think it's very delicate in that way.
Very mid-century.
I like the updates.
Any other comments? Do you have a motion on part A then?
If we split them,
They're officially split.
okay.
The agenda for split.
I can take a stab. On. Which CO is the COA 2500110 for 554 South Grant Street, Part A. I move to approve with the conditions that final roof selection and color will be submitted to staff. That's it.
Second?
And all those in favor? Aye. All those against? Motion passes.
Okay, for my clarity, who's had the second on that?
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Part B, landscape.
So there's not much change from the last time we were sitting here. There's a bit of adjustment around the covered patio. We had to remove some plants because of the combustible setback on the fireplace. But other than that, it's exactly as it was before.
The fountain get moved?
The fountain, no.
Okay. Commissioners?
Remind me about the discussion on the property line in the driveway.
Well, we have the neighbor,
At the
submitted a letter from the neighbor allowing for the proposed line. So. So you're asking.
Mm-hmm.
Any other comments from the commission?
Okay.
Do I have a motion on part B?
For COA 2500110 for 554 South Grant Street, Part D, I move to approve as submitted.
You have a second?
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes. Part C. Variances. Commission, any issues with the proposed variances? Any discussion?
One comment.
Yeah.
On this, to add. In our back and forth with the zoning department, I think that besides the existing conditions, the technical variances.
Yeah.
I'm asking for, the request for variances was reduced by one, because it has to separate the garage itself from the covered porch. So the footprint of the garage is no longer a variance request, because it's in that size. So the 4 variances that are not technical in nature are going to be the ridge height, placing the garage 2 feet from the north property line versus 3 feet. It's going to be the habitable space on the second floor, the office, and then it will be the navigation in and out of the garage, which you can see on the site plan. There's a diagram of, of how turning radius and how that works, which we've shown before, but I just want to.
What's the bridge height again? Said it was wrong.
19 feet 8.
Oh, so it's right on the variance.
Yeah.
Okay.
Versus, and again, just on that point, we're matching the slope of roof of the house, and then we're also using 7-foot garage doors to also help pull that down.
Any questions or comments?
No issues with these.
Seeing shaking heads down at the other end. Do I have a motion?
For CUA 2500110 for 554 South Grant Street, Part C, move to approve as submitted.
They're variances.
Recommend.
Recommend as submitted, thank you.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, all those opposed? You have your recommendation.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. On your way out, tell the chairman it's safe for him to come back in. Thank you.
Call you, did you?
Hmm?
Call it, yeah.
Well,
All right, moving on to item number 6, CUA 2500235 South Fifth Street. Both raise your right hands. You swear to tell the truth, whole truth, nothing but the truth.
Yes,
Your name?
my name's Corey Miller with All Seasons Roofing.
Thank you.
Clay Price, owner of us.
Thank you.
All right, this application is for an exterior building alteration, specifically slate roof to asphalt shingle roof replacement. And this is to replace the existing slate roof with GAF slate line asphalt shingles in weathered slate. At the May business meeting, the commission requested the applicant provide the license number for the assessment providers. Staff recommends approval of the application with any and all clarifications to be submitted to HBO staff for review and approval prior to issuance of the certificate. Basis for staff recommendation is the proposed work is somewhat consistent with City Code 3116.11, the standards for alteration, specifically 6, 5, and 11. And the German Village Commission guidelines, the 2005 amendments for the slate roof replacement, specifically page 175. And then I will hand it back over to you, Chair.
All right, anything else to add? Nope. Questions, comments from the commission?
You're replacing gutters?
And weathered slate is approved color, approved list?
I believe so, yes.
Verify. For the ridge roll, will you be replacing the ridge roll or reinstalling what is there?
Yes. Place for the roll.
What color for the ridge roll?
For matching whether it's slate with the cab.
slate, an asphalt shingle ridge cap.
Yeah.
Guidelines call for metal ridge roll
Oh, we can definitely do that.
in red or gray.
There it is. There it is.
Go. I think that's all I've got. Thing I'll look at real quick. Underside, you have exposed raptor tails, or is this closed soffit?
I'm sorry.
Exposed raptor tails, or is it enclosed soffits?
Soften.
Just checking to see, because if you have to replace any of the sheathing when the shingles come off, what goes back, if there's visible from below, we want to make sure that we're maintaining that look.
And the intent would be to maintain the same look as the soffit is current.
And just as clarification, because this has happened more than I care to admit, A lot of times people are doing roof work, they suddenly decide to put venting in the soffits. That's not part of this application. If you need to put venting in, come back to us. It's a whole separate conversation. Okay, any other questions?
Reasons on valves, metal versus, overlap.
I don't think so.
Typically have not dealt with that in the past. Traditionally, yes,
The ridges and valleys are the metal.
it says valleys in there too.
Just from doing the staff approvals, like
Okay.
that's what I'm saying.
Make sure that.
Yeah, I mean, that's good. I don't remember that coming up. Yeah.
It's never been asked, but if it doesn't, we're good. Staff says better.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, on item COA 25002357, 68 South Fifth Street, I move to approve as amended by the applicant that there will be a metal gray ridge roll per the guidelines and also a metal valley per the guidelines, metal valleys per the guidelines.
I do have one more question, just saw. If you can go to page 5, the application. Flashing around the chimney, currently a tinted red. You intending to replace that flashing
Yes, it's gray.
with gray?
Okay. Match the original.
All right. So we got a motion.
Second.
We got a second. Any other questions on the motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Ayes have it, motion passes. Thank you much.
Appreciate it.
All right, moving on, item 7, COA 2500307, 180 Lansing Street. Anybody here for 180 Lansing Street? We'll go ahead and move ahead to COA 2500360, 253 Lansing Street. If you're settled, go raise your right hand. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth.
I do.
And your name?
Michael LaRoe, Laroe.
Thank you.
Okay, this application is for demolition and new construction of a garage. This is to demolish and remove the existing rear yard garden shed, construct a new 1-story, 2-car garage at 17 feet 6 inches tall by 24 feet by 24 feet footprint. Materials to include a smooth hardy plank siding, wood soffits and trim, K-style gutters, Owens Corning shingle with the red ridge roll, the steel half-light door, a 12-inch gooseneck lights, 2 Wayne Dalton flush wood garage doors, the removal of sections of privacy fence and installation of a concrete apron for the submitted site plan. HBO staff note a 20-foot tall period house was approved for construction at this location in 2021, but was not constructed. The shed in the back is shorter than 8 feet and is not considered a structure by code and does not appear in the 1960s sandboard map. There are no COAs on file for the shed. At the May business meeting, the commission requested the design be amended to that the trim matches page 78 of the German Village Guidelines, and requested the site plan be revised to show the existing landscaping and noted any landscaping or hardscaping not on the site plan would not be included in the approval. The applicant provided revised renderings and drawings, page 9 to 12 of the materials packet, with the trim details altered to match the German Village Guideline, page 78, as recommended by the commission at the business meeting. The applicant also provided additional photos. Staff recommends approval with any and all clarifications to be submitted to HBO staff for review and approval prior to issuance of a certificate with no conditions. Basis for staff recommendation is 3116.14, the standard for demolition. City Code 3116.12, the standard for new construction, specifically A, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, and N. City Code 3116.13, the standards for site improvements, specifically A and B. The German Village Guidelines, 2005 amendments for curb cuts. And the German Village Guidelines for walks, sidewalks, driveways, patios, and parking lots.
All right. Anything else to add?
Yeah.
Questions, comments from the commission?
We stand on hardy board.
Have not been approving Hardy board
Gone.
anything. Hardy. Horizontal.
Yeah.
Sorry. So to Commissioner Thiel's comment, we have done extensive tests of Hardy throughout the neighborhood. And found it to not be an appropriate material. Wood is always appropriate. There is a oral which has now been purchased by another company. What's the current name of it is?
Or something.
True Exterior. They have
The
a,
ash, yeah, the laurel ash, or
yeah. So Boral got bought, they renamed it to True Exterior, but it's the same product.
I believe, it's a garage guru, recently did one with that. So it's a laurel,
Yep,
BOR,
BORAL or wood are both approved materials.
BORAL wood,
Or wood. Or wood,
or wood, okay, I'm sorry.
you're fine.
Real quick.
For trim details, page 78 of the Durham Village guidelines have house details. I think there's a garage detail in there as well, talking about trim sizing and material and that kind of stuff.
Yes, they submitted, I submitted a second time on the portal, additional comments from the builder as far as the trim.
Okay. Did that make it into here?
It would have been the last batch that was downloaded.
I flipped through, but it keeps crashing on me.
It's past that. It's gonna be a handy on.
That was it, doesn't it?
It should be the last batch of photos that will, or hand-drawings that were put to the portal.
So it looks like that through page 12 is one set, and then page 13 is a second set. I'm not sure which is the latest.
So Nick wrote all of the staff reports, and I'm just going to clarify that the revised renderings and drawings should be page 9 to 12 of the PDF.
Okay. Oh. So my statement's just gonna be that. Guess it's already here, we wouldn't say go to staff to check. Let me see if I can pull up
What is
the guidelines
okay.
about the trim sizing. I want to verify the sizing with what's been proposed. I thought maybe. Village. Crashed. You guys have a copy of the guidelines we can pull up real quick.
I have it digitally if you want me to hand you the.
That works just
Okay.
fine, yeah.
I meant to grab my physical copy if that did not make it in my bag. Historians are not gonna help anybody.
Should have the laptop, didn't bring it this time.
There's always that one time you don't, but you actually need it.
Contents.
70.
It's about 20. Seven. 58. Call for 1x5, so 3¼ by 4½ inch. Or 6, okay, yeah, that's lining up, okay. Good. Cool. And then similar comment to last application, you have smooth wood soffits, not planning any venting in the soffits, correct?
I'll defer to the plan at this point.
Okay. Which does not state venting, so we're assuming no venting.
And that being a requirement.
We do not require venting. If you do venting, we gotta talk about it as a condition.
Okay.
The fact that it's an uninsulated garage, don't need it.
Agree. All right,
So amend your application to the sidings either boral or wood. Okay.
Yep.
there any fixture you propose for the garage?
Just gonna look
Exterior gooseneck.
Gooseneck, okay.
in there.
And then there was a question on landscaping, and that was addressed. There's, if you look at the driving pad, the area that we own has no landscaping on it at all.
Mhm.
So there's no removal of landscaping at this point, but we will submit under a second application, the landscaping approval with the privacy fence. Because that fence will come down other than the fence that's on the right side, which is the other homeowner.
Sure.
But the shed will come down and that fence, and then they'll submit under a new application. Landscaping and another shorter privacy fence.
Good. Any other questions or comments? If there's none, is there a motion?
On COA 2500346-253 Lansing Street, I move to approve as amended by the applicant that the siding will be either oral or wood. Same configuration, smooth lap siding.
Second.
Questions on the motion? Those in favor? Against? Ayes have it, motion passes. Do we have an applicant for 180 Lansing? 180 Lansing? All right, moving on to item number 9. This begins the conceptual applications. COA 2500346, 728 South 6th Street. And you swear to tell the truth, whole truth, nothing but the truth.
I do.
What's your name?
Steve Hurt with Urban Order Architecture.
Thank you very much.
Right, this application is for an exterior building alteration, specifically a gable dormer replacement. This is to replace the existing gable dormer with a new larger gable dormer. Materials would include floral siding, asphalt shingles to match, new Marvin Ultimate aluminum clad double window. At the May business meeting, the commission requested the applicant confirm the length and width of the existing dormer and proposed dormer, and requested an aerial view image for the property. The commission also asked HBO staff to provide any COAs and historic photos from the file. The applicant clarified the existing dormer is 4 feet wide and 4 feet long. Projection from the roof line and that the new dormer would be 8 feet wide and project about 5 feet from the roof line. The applicant also provided aerial photos that are now included in the materials packet. HPO staff has added a 1980 CLA to the materials package for the construction of the larger dormer on the opposite side of the structure. It is not clear, but either the dormer that is proposed for alteration was either already existing or was approved at the same time, as it does appear in the submitted drawings. HPO staff recommends the commission offer design feedback that can be utilized by the applicant to further refine the proposed design for review at a future hearing. Basis for staff recommendation is City Code 3116.11, the standards for alteration, the German Village Commission guidelines regarding dormers and skylights, and the German Village guidelines regarding additions.
Anything else to add?
Not a lot. This dormer is sort of odd because the windowsill height on the inside is 5'4", so it sits really tall up, and it looks weird, and we would like to have some more space, and it seems that we're meeting the General Village Commission guidelines if this were being proposed as a new dormer. But there's already one there. I think that's why we're going to ask about how you're going to view that.
All right. Questions, comments, commission?
Does the proposed dormer just occupy the bathroom? Is that the only room underneath it?
Yeah, it actually, the walls of the bathroom are wider than the existing dormer, and then it goes out, and then there's a jog to make the dormer window sit there.
But basically only the bathroom sits in.
Yes. Yeah,
That shower head looks really low.
Yeah, this is it's a 2-family, and the first floor is split down the middle, and the second floor is split opposite, so it's like
Typical double crisscross.
So this bathroom just for the one family?
yeah, I assume that the other bathroom is in that shed door. Just looks gigantic. So we're trying to make it as small as possible and still have functional interior space.
I have no problems.
Are you gonna be rerouting what looks like a vent stack that's on the left of the existing dormer?
I assume so, yes.
Okay.
That's probably venting that bathroom.
There you go.
Okay.
Probably come up with a better location for that.
In the wall.
There's a lot of things that they were done those cost effective way.
Yep.
The German Village way.
Yeah.
Yeah, 50 years ago, absolutely.
Okay.
I have no issues.
This is an asphalt roof, right?
Yeah.
Did you call out siding for this?
Yeah, we'd like to use door siding.
Perfect.
What about the windows? Window,
He gave us a marvin.
yeah, okay.
And speaking of windows, I put on the original application that we wanted to replace the replacement windows. And Nick sent me an email saying they needed a schedule, but they're all replacement windows that there's some interlocking double hung thing with vinyl strip.
So the window schedule will be for the new windows.
For the new and
Yeah.
dormer, or to replace all of
To
them?
replace the old ones, I think that's what they were asking for. Because typically when we do the staff approvals for window replacement, or sometimes even before we put before the commission, we want the window schedule. So we can make sure like the rough opening and the window are like comparable sizes, as well as we're getting the correct designs on the windows as well.
Okay, so that would be something that is provided by Marvin, once we know this is what we're doing.
Yes,
But overall, replacing a replacement window has been an issue.
No, if it's
Absolutely not.
not an original window, we typically approve it if it's a appropriate window.
Are these vinyl?
They're a hybrid, I think. Okay, they're weird. I think they're like a graphic window or something.
So, a question I'm gonna have when you come back for the windows is numbered on either the photos or the elevations of which ones are getting replaced, because if this is only half of the property, correct?
You know, we would replace all.
Everything on the entire property, okay.
so I'll also note that if they're doing an application for replacing the replacement windows, we can staff approve it, which we would have asked for the same thing, the kind of the picture of the elevation with things labeled so they can correspond.
Yeah.
And make sure we've got all of the Ts crossed and Is dotted and we just have everything.
Just hearing that.
Yeah, I knew I was coming to that, so I was just like, we've done this in the past where we were trying to replace some windows, not others.
Anything else from us?
That's great.
Cool,
Okay,
thank you much.
thank you.
All right, and before we move on, I'm going to ask for a quick 5-minute break.
Sure. Take 5.
It was cold. It was very cold. Like every other thing, it's hot or it's cold. It's never good temperature.
Better wear a sweater.
It's the start of warm winter and it's not rain.
So,
Doesn't want to do that.
for questions about trees, 332107. Requires no trees in each property.
What?
3321.07. This is the Title 33 zone code.
Okay.
Requires one tree residential property.
It's working.
That cannot be fulfilled with other required trees, like first street trees or screening trees, that kind of stuff.
Correct.
We're looking for applications that are trying to remove trees and want to go back. That's the zoning MO. It doesn't apply to Title 34. So the question is, were those properties along Livingston's? Most section 34 do not apply. Title 1, range 33 engage with those sections that still do apply. That's the question.
Could make the case for the guidelines if there were trees along them, it's still to keep that up, since there are, there's no precedent.
But also it's on lot for, well, it's one.
One, it's for
For residential.
minimum one tree
Yeah,
for every 10 or fraction thereof.
yeah.
A minimum of one tree is required on each lot containing 1 to 10 dwelling units. 2 are required for working 11 to 20. So.
Is that tree code?
Yeah. It's Cat 33. 21.07.
Sounds like a quarter of guess. Blades, like they took down 2 old trees and they replaced with 4.
Game, but it's garbage.
Yeah, they were, old trees were pretty much done.
That's the plenty of trees. The question is heritage trees. It's what we don't have any.
Yeah. Specimens.
You good?
Ready when you are.
All right, we are back on the record. Moving on to item number 10, COA 2500348-180 Reinhardt. Raise your hands. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth? All right, your name?
Jesse Garner.
Thank you.
Great lawyers.
Thank you.
All right, this is another conceptual application for the demolition and exterior building alteration for kitchen addition to demolish an existing single car garage, the entry from a private alley. The garage was approved for construction in 2010 and construct a new story kitchen addition on the rear north elevation of the existing structure with the balcony above. The new addition to align with the 2010 approved two-story addition on the east elevation. Staff analysis includes the commissioner comments taken from the March 2025 German Village Commission hearing minutes, which include the commission requested HBO staff look through the minutes and agenda from the 2010s to locate information on the view of the existing addition. The commissioners recalled that the addition was reconstructed due to a structural issue during a previous alteration. The commissioners concluded that the proposed demolition of the north masonry wall is too extreme to meet the guideline recommendation for the additions. One window may be converted into a door opening, but the space between the two openings should not be demolished. If confirmed to be non-historic, the garage demolition would likely be supported. The commission noted that the demolition of the garage may cause a need for a parking variance. How many vehicles could be parked on the property design? At the May business meeting, the commission requested a copy of the parking easement that the applicant confirm trim details and provide sample photos of the proposed railing material. It was also suggested that example photos of similar balconies in German Village with addresses could be helpful. The commission requested HBO staff add COAs or minutes from the 2010 review and approval of the addition of the garage. Because the garage is not historic, HBO staff have identified no concerns with the structure being demolished. However, the reduction in parking caused by the elimination of the garage and construction of the new addition should be addressed through confirmation. The parking easement is permanent to ensure the lot does not see any reduction in parking. HBO staff would also recommend that the building materials can be repurposed, are salvaged on site or on other properties to keep usable building products from landfill. The 2010 COA and the 2010 conceptual review letter are in the material package. Staff recommends the commission offer design feedback that can be utilized by the applicant to further refine the proposal for review at a future GBC hearing. Basis for staff recommendation is City Code 3116.11, the standards for alteration, specifically at 1 through 5, and then 9 through 12, and the German Village Commission guidelines regarding additions. And I'll hand it back to the chair.
Anything else to add?
I just wanted to make sure with the commissioner's conclusion, I believe when it says commissioner comments, that was from the previous, like the March hearing when it talked about the two extreme. I just wanted to make sure it was noted that we completely changed the design to keep, okay, just wanted to make sure that was understood that we kept that entire one. Wonderful.
Yep.
I mean, I do have some questions, but I can probably let you go first.
Okay. I have a couple off the bat. Variance is required. It looks like there's a variance listed for lot coverage.
Yes.
So I think the 10-foot alley, let me ask this question. So your lot coverage, is that based on the property line lot coverage or are you?
The alley.
Okay, so we have that already.
So we are doing 51 instead of 50, so it's very close. That's what we're asking for.
The commission will have to get to the point of allowing 51. Rear yard, 20.5 and 25% is the minimum allowed. As always, a lot of times the variances are because it needs to happen, either it's an existing condition.
Sure.
My mantra is always is we allowing architectural decisions in the interior to drive the exterior. So that's a hurdle I have to overcome from my perspective. Other commissioners have their perspective. But yeah, justifying the variance is just variance is required because we're doing something new to the property. Can we justify that?
And still keep appropriate open space.
Is there, this is appealing to the mercy bench.
Mhm.
Is there some consideration available, given somewhat unusual nature of this property having been subdivided how many years ago? What used to be a fairly large lot and a home that fit that size.
Do we know when the subdivision happened?
We tracked it down, I want to say it was the nineties, I believe. Bill Hugus, who put together the current edition on the home, and I spent quite some time talking about it. The history on this property is storied and unusual with that, non-legal alley or municipal alley that's in there is kind of occurred prior to the subdivision of the property. So I want to say the nineties, I'm just grabbing from memory, but the challenge, as I'm sure you always hear, of course, is the interior of the home's very small, difficult to make functional. And so our aspiration is to try and provide them with a kitchen space that is respectful of the existing structure. So at this point, we're even proposing a plan for the kitchen that will not even cut one opening through the existing bricks. We're trying to retain all of that. And then the offset to that is the minimal addition necessary to make kind of a functional sitting room, which really doesn't exist in the home as it is right now. So I realize I'm kind of appealing on just opinion here, but there are some mitigating circumstances.
I will say you're 33 square feet off of meeting the 50% lot coverage, though. Based on the area of your lot, what you've said is, and then what you've said is coverage, and 33 square feet off. Which, based on the width of your building, take that back 2 inches.
We would be happy to do that, and especially since that would, we'd actually be happy to do 5 inches, which I know that's, we'll go further. No, just because we would like to be able to provide another parking space on that lot, and then that would provide that 9 feet, and we realize we have 8'7", but in further development, talking with the city, realized that parking width is 9 feet. And so that would provide us an extra additional parking, and then we wouldn't be losing a parking space in the lot.
Yeah.
So just trying to appease the zoning, and also, I mean, there's plenty of parking on Frank or not, but still just providing extra additional parking in the lot. So that would potentially take care of that variance.
You can basically, if you pull that back and you end up hitting 50%, you're gonna get second part. That's 2 variances off the table that are.
Correct.
pretty
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, so then if we were to do that, would the board be more willing to, with the other variants of, I mean, it would be less than 20.5, it would be more than 20.5 at that point, because we would be reducing. Is that something that would be possible? Not making you say yes or no right now, but.
What's the current rear yard? Any? Really
Um,
considering the rear yard, I guess, at this point with the garage there.
the rear yard is, yeah, essentially none. There is about 11 feet between the garage and the house. But yeah, the rear yard is like maybe 0.3 feet.
Yep. So to me, it's
That's a
you're
way.
getting more rear yard that wasn't there before because of the garage. So I think it's kind of like,
We're trying.
Getting there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We can get them take care.
and just for conversation's sake, the reason we are hesitant to do lot splits today is because we're causing these conditions that the next property owner is like, well, this is a hardship for me, and I gotta do this. It's like,
Yeah.
wouldn't have been a problem if we hadn't split the lot first.
I would have never advised splitting this lot or doing that. Trying to It's very odd, the driving situation, everyone like hits each other's fence, it's not, that garage is not conducive for parking, it's just very odd.
Yeah.
So I'd say if you pull that wall back, we get second parking space, I'm on board with the approach of what's being proposed from a layout perspective. Me personally, the exterior is the next question.
I agree with that. As far as zoning lot coverage, et cetera.
Yeah, as far as the variances, what those are triggered by.
As far as exterior fenestration materials, design, any feedback on that?
A little, so guidelines say you got one addition, you put an addition on, you consider them a single addition. So you got 4 additions, you only really have 1 addition, so we look at it as 1 addition. I appreciate your window placement because it's more contemporary than what would be typically in historic analogy.
Right.
But I think because your windows on the existing and trims, et cetera, on the existing, I think you need to duplicate that on your addition.
Oh, with like, casing.
Casing, the headboard, the sill,
Okay,
all that stuff.
sure,
I think you can wrap your corner with that also and just
okay.
tie the 2 pieces on either elevation together.
I wasn't quite sure what the commission meant when they were asking to reconfirm trims. Thank you for clarifying.
Yeah, so that, other than that, I think the placement, I have no problem with the placement, but I think it needs to be trimmed out accordingly.
Okay,
Just to take that one step further, is there a guideline or a feeling or sense, what is your motivation in picking? Are you saying, let's try and take stylistic aspect of the windows as they exist and incorporate that into the new architecture on the rear?
As far as the trims go, yes.
So page 78 of the guidelines talks about trim sizing and detail and that kind of stuff for the traditional trims.
And I'm assuming that the addition that you've got right now that's still there when you get done with this, those trims probably have for the guidelines also, so.
Yeah,
and they have case, they have one by casing and they
Yeah.
have, yes, you're right, they do.
So I think that all needs stuff.
Which we kind of are showing on that door.
Yes.
We just kind of left it out on the window.
Yeah, so I think, yeah, so show that on the windows. And when you come for finals, you need to call it.
More yourself, I don't.
how crucial is the window placement? If we're still looking at the homeowner on a few small details, the interior layout. If those windows move a little bit, but still retain kind of, as you noted, a little bit more modern feeling, is that?
I don't have a problem with that, but
That's not a.
When you say modern theming, what do you?
Well, I'm using that term very loosely to just, obviously, we're trying for a style and a feel that is very different from the existing home. Honestly, our homeowner is not so concerned about the exterior back here at the rear, so you might say we're just looking for something a little bit cleaner and simpler. It's almost impossible to see this house except from 2 or 3 garages behind it, so we're just looking for something that's a little bit more simple.
check it out. Now. And the other comment I've got is that railing just doesn't make any architectural sense to me.
It's not a kind of railing we'd see on the ground, much less up on top of the roof.
Yeah.
We are happy to change that. What inspired that railing is inspired by the existing railing on the back of the house.
Yeah, and it doesn't match your architecture of your new house.
I just thought you guys would be happy that it matched.
Oh, I see the back one now.
So if you would prefer us to try to do something different, we'd be
We
happy to do
have
that.
tension wire cables with lighting underneath the handrail that we've allowed before,
I don't
so.
think we approved that lighting.
That looked like.
Yeah, we did actually.
Construction.
We don't want
Like-
a cable rail, so don't worry.
Okay, no, I mean, that would be okay,
It would be interesting. Okay.
yeah, but something simple, I
Okay,
think,
you want something more simple.
yeah.
Simple, kind of blend into the background. We don't want big chunky.
Yeah, that's all your architecture is in that railing.
Yeah.
Are you happy with aluminum or black railing, like it doesn't have to be wood, because a lot of the examples of balconies that we found, which I submitted late, so you're not seeing those. But they were wood, so are you okay with a metal black railing?
You've had metal black railing.
Okay.
It's lighter. I think that's better.
See through, I think that's my preference and the client's preference, so.
Yeah.
It's your preference, that's great.
Minimize.
Get everybody away from chunky spindles.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah.
Yeah,
See, you don't wanna be, yeah. you don't wanna be-
It would be.
I'm sure you're aware of all the maintenance issues related to wood, the fact that homeowners don't keep this stuff up, and it's really unfortunate, but
A reality.
On, if you can go down one more page, yeah, so. Don't have any second floor plans right now in conceptual. Is there a window removed on that upper elevation?
Yes, it would be turned into a door. So our kind of give would be, your note had said that you only wanted to remove one window to become a door. So instead of doing a first floor, we would try to propose that we do that on the second floor. And we can provide a second floor plan. Right now, there's like an open office in that space. And that
So,
not seen in this elevation, it's seen in the rear elevation.
clear window here,
yeah,
what is wrong?
I could be wrong. I don't think.
No,
Yeah, there is.
there is.
Oh, you're right. Well, we're not getting rid of that window.
Okay.
I just.
Yeah.
Window staying, the
First one taken.
first floor window, you're turning into a door, you're saying?
Yes,
Yeah.
that is actually in the photos and
It's second.
and that should be in the model as well. Yeah, that window right there, in the
We
corner,
did see it.
that would be converted to the door.
So this window here?
No, on the top right, on the
There were
second.
the cursors at
I,
the
I, you
Yeah.
know, but elevation wise, your elevation showed a door right here.
Oh, yes, yes,
I'm still focused on this elevation.
sorry, yes.
My comments are, we want to make sure that if there's a window up here in real life, we want to make sure that shows in the elevation.
We'll show that.
If this is becoming a door, just note that door becoming, or window becoming door. This, I'm assuming, is the, outside,
I think
I
that's.
believe.
Yeah.
radon, yeah, that should be painted, not white. So
Oh, you wanna-
that didn't happen at some point, it should be painted for a
And
COA.
there's the one at the middle window.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
right, so on the rear, is
Painted to match the siding.
Yes. Yeah.
so here,
Oh, no, you'll
You
need a
get
COA to do that as well as chip.
Oh, you take it out.
So that needs to be included in the approval. So I don't want anybody to get ahead of themselves and to do something that's gonna cause a code.
correct. So
Got it.
I do have one question for the commission.
Is it appropriate for us just to add that as a line item to our next?
Yes, yeah, you will still need to provide the paint chip. We require it for every paint.
Like a visible,
So you can either do the like Sherwin-Williams or Behr like paint chip of like tricorn black, or if it's a custom
Okay.
color, you can give us that code that's on top of the paint can.
got it.
The reason we ask for that, people have said it's gonna be gray. They can paint it and it's just a very dull gray, or it's gonna be blue, it's a very bright blue, it's like there's no show.
That makes sense.
Understandable.
So for the commission, they're talking about taking this window and a door. My question is, it more appropriate to turn an existing masonry window into a door if we've got a siding option? Is that a possibility? Architectural interior space.
Unfortunately, it is not. That is a shower.
Okay. I have a walkout.
I would say it could be done, it just probably wouldn't be.
Well,
Anthony, where's your interior space does not dictate the exterior space?
I never said, I
comment.
never said I'm okay with it. I was asking the question. Typically punching holes and framing it.
No, I
appropriate.
I
It would be
completely
much
agree.
cheaper as well, so we would totally
I,
appreciate
yeah,
that.
I believe that you were going for that first.
yeah, if
We don't have a
that,
second floor plan.
if that is a possibility, that window lends itself just from the perspective of floor plan and traffic flow, which I know isn't your first concern, but still, that lends itself very well to the function and the purpose. It's not quite, but almost at the head of the stair on the interior. We're trying to avoid exterior stairs and things like that, access from the exterior. But yeah, the new addition piece has a bath in it, and the shower is right at the rear.
A couple houses on the
Is that an original rear window that you'd be taking out? Or is it a replacement window?
Don't think it's a good show.
The ones on the rear on the first floor are all Marvin that were replaced in 2010. I'd have to check Bill Lucas's plans to see if that's was also replaced in 2010.
If it's original, my only ask is if that can be stored on site, up in the attic, in the basement for posterity, because if somebody wants to go back and put the window back in, I'd rather put the original window back in if we can.
Sure.
Ditto for the sill.
And the sill, if you're taking out that stone sill,
Okay,
take out one piece, don't just blow it apart.
sure.
They're very, very cool to saving historical material.
On your elevation on page 7, the banding at the porch level. For commission, are we okay extending that banding through, since that banding does not exist on the elevation currently? Or should the banding stop at this treat the new block as a new component?
I like the fact that it treats both additions as one addition.
Okay.
Which is what the guidelines say we should be doing.
I just know that we've had a property in the past where we had the banding.
We had a very serious banding conversation.
Because the first floor was there, we wanted to keep it what was there. I want to make sure we're being consistent.
But I think that one had a particular height of banding that didn't.
It's
In the
because they were
line,
capping on
yeah.
top of an existing one to keep the existing
Yeah.
silhouette. Okay.
What I thought you were gonna bring up was the existing door that's on the existing framed addition, has a transom above it. And I would really like to see that kept and moved over.
Okay.
So that you're
Can you
keeping,
reuse that one?
Possibly.
Okay.
or at least to keep the same, because it looks like you're matching the top of window height.
She's
Your headers.
22.
Yeah.
You got an
This door
existing
here is
door.
an existing door with the transom. And it was added in 2010. It may be too narrow for us to reuse, but if we have another one with the transom, would you be part of that? Okay.
I think because you're
No, that's
maintaining
what she's saying.
that,
She just thinks she likes to have it as above it. So she would like our addition door.
because you're maintaining that head height of the new windows with your old windows, and then having it step down for just the door.
Stylistically keep that look.
Yeah.
Not necessarily use that particular
Exactly,
unit.
yeah.
Okay. And that window on the upper level is new. I just pulled out a picture that is in nature too.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Bottom left corner of that picture on the side facade. Little bump out.
What's that?
What is that?
It's the
What's
first,
that?
it stores a beverage. It stores a beverage refrigerator right now.
Somebody cut holes in the wall.
Too rich. for
There is a
wood.
like a 10-inch deep cabinet.
A beverage fridge.
They shut.
That's all that does.
Okay.
I
That's-
assume the
that's the
commission didn't know about
definition.
that. That's
Nope.
not look to me like it.
That's the definition.
That's
of
the
interior.
definition of interior and exterior.
We got a semi truck, therefore I need to have it.
Yeah, we
60
walked the
drive.
interior of the house and I saw that. It's obvious.
Optical vision.
It's obvious that
Because
it's.
I'm sure it's flush with whatever they have on the.
It is.
Yeah, and the cabinetry is 12 inches.
It also steps down like 9 inches into that space. It's a very odd kitchen.
Probably an old porch that became.
Yeah.
Well, that's a new addition. They just for some reason stepped it down. Didn't- Yeah.
Remove it.
My last.
Yes, our intention was to get rid of the wine fridge bump.
My last question, comment, when you get to the application itself is going to be gutters, downspouts, all your drainage. How are you gonna collect water off this new deck? Is there gonna be some box gutters around? Does it need to be any kind of overhang at the edge of the deck as opposed to being flush with the wall? You got a big downspout right now off the corner of the brick portion. How's that gonna be addressed? Et cetera, et cetera.
We are not showing any gutters or downspouts right now, but our intent is not to do box gutters, which is what is on the original house. So we would do gutters and downspouts that would match the garage and the addition, which would be the K style with, I think they're half round or they're either, so whatever is on the garage, it may be a better They're half round, which round gutters.
So right now you've got,
Oh, yeah, they're half round. They're round downspouts, which is what we would propose for.
so if you have half rounds, then any rafter tails should be perpendicular cut. If you have a straight vertical surface, plumb surface,
You will.
box cutters.
Oh. Okay.
That's the detail.
OG.
For OG.
Showed you.
Perpendicular would be nice.
You're just saying a fascia. We have a fascia board.
Perpendicular to the top of the board.
Okay,
Plumb,
That's a perpendicular
Yeah.
plumb spec.
from looking at it straight on.
Yes.
Okay, that's where the difference is. I'm thinking.
We understood what you're saying, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So where I'm going with the downspouts is you've got one here, which
Right.
this one's gonna be right on top of your porch. How is that gonna get out? Or how you gonna fix whatever?
So all those box gutters need to be rebuilt as they commonly do.
Okay.
And our plan is to rework the upper level drainage lanes to drain to the
right gut.
the northwest corner. Yeah.
Okay. Just so I'm clear, you are saying that for the balcony, if we're doing a fascia board that does not have raptor tails, because we're not really showing you, and your preference is box gutter.
Case style, or if you want to put a box. you can.
Or Kate, oh, okay.
Like, would you accept square, when you say box, I'm thinking of constructed into the roof structure, but would you accept a square gutter?
You said K style, so it's just.
OGK style.
OG Keystone.
If you want to have a unique box, a square gutter, think if that fits the architectural style you're going for. Put it on the application proposal, take a look at it. We typically don't see those.
So I'm opposed to case style gutters.
Yeah.
Same, but
The big question is gonna be how you can drain that deck.
yeah, I'm interested to see that, especially with the window height, head heights being where they are, and the structure, and tying into the deck.
Constructability details.
Yep.
I'm sorry, would you mind repeating that? I was writing down the better details.
No, you're good. I think we'll need to see details on where that window height versus the structure versus that top of deck.
So you'd like to see
And
a
how you're
segment.
draining, yeah,
Okay.
eventually.
Typically, constructability wise, what we typically see is it's a flat roof. You have decking set up off the roof. Whole roof's probably it's gonna want to slope down towards the back of the house. Usually you collect everything. How much slope do you need? How do you make that slope work with the window head heights and everything else?
Okay.
And how you're tying into the existing brick.
Are you okay with, like square, Fumaru, or IP, like deck tiles or, okay?
If your gutter's built into that structure,
Great.
I did.
I love it, but it's nearly impossible to prevent that from eventually failing.
Hmm.
If the future, which is, as I'm sure you're very well aware, the problem with all those box cutters, you don't do the maintenance, and you can't always count people to do the maintenance. Then inevitably you have a big fail, which is what we have right now.
Yep.
So,
And unfortunately, this is right above the kitchen.
Even maintenance free requires maintenance.
yeah, that's right. Every requires maintenance. So we try to find some balance between tasteful, but also recognizing that
Yeah.
even the best of people do not always feel maintenance.
One request when you do with the application in your model. This. Look.
Yeah, that may not be
It's a detail.
detailed precisely. We could,
It's not being touched existing, just kind of gray it out.
It is existing, yeah, we are touching it, but I still want to accurately represent what's there.
Sure. I think it's still a flat, low slope roof, just tucked underneath there. Okay, any other questions?
I have one question.
Yep.
There is a rear landing right now that's kind of has the weird railing that you guys don't like, on the back. that goes to nothing currently. Would the board be opposed to us removing that? It doesn't look like that foundation is original. I don't have documentation on what year that went in.
That's newer block.
It's newer. Unfortunately, I'm not quite sure what year though.
To me, it's behind a fence. Nobody has seen it.
Yeah.
Nobody will see it. It's not original. I'm okay with going away.
Okay.
It's not functional from the step standpoint anyway.
Are you gonna put steps out?
Well,
To,
we were going to block off that door. In a way in the interior. So that it wouldn't be functional, but we would still maintain the door from the exterior. And then again, that fence would still possibly be there. As my colleague mentioned, we're doing some tweaks with the inside, so I don't want to definitively say what's going to happen, but I just wanted to know if we have that flexibility.
I
Yeah,
would-
the door's not gonna be functional.
I would just say,
Yeah, we won't have the door be functional, then it would drop off in that way for sure.
I would say, check the guidelines. There's a section in there talking about porches and stoops.
Okay,
And there is a piece in the guys talking about existing doors. We've been okay with fixing them shut and make them non-usable. But there's been conversation about not removing steps that were there. But if you don't have steps to start with,
Yeah, I was gonna say, is that pertinent to historic material, or is that just saying you don't want something that looks like a door hovering in space?
the language talks about the door hovering in space and making it not usable in the future. But in this situation, you don't have existing stairs.
Yeah.
So the question for the commission is it really applicable? Do we need to have stairs there in the first place, or if we're taking off a non-functioning thing?
Doors hovering in space.
I know we do, but per the guidelines, we shouldn't.
this is
So-
a perfect world, Ed, that we live in.
Yeah, I know.
Just because bad things have done in the past doesn't mean they shouldn't be continued in the future.
Is that a question that we have anything to say on, or we just need to debate?
I think we need to discuss it at the hearing.
We make a non-compliant situation worse.
Yeah,
Yeah,
That's the question.
that's a good.
I would just say,
But it's also
Floor
above
plan
the
is
water
versus the
table.
exterior of the fence and not more final approach than the discussing.
I'd say if you don't want to have it there, you can propose it as that.
Okay.
If you want to be safe, have in your back pocket, something that you might want to stick in with stairs.
Okay.
I'm not sure where we'd land on it.
That structure can stay, part of the driver here is that little alley space is very tight. There's a reason municipal alleys have a certain width guideline. This does not conform to those. It's very difficult to drive a car through, and as was mentioned earlier, that fence gets hit and other things get hit on a regular basis. Our desire was to place some landscaping, some curbing. I don't know if you allow bollards or something like that to protect the structure, but maybe taking some of that away, it visually looks very cluttered back there. And so the desire is to kind of visually improve everything, but also eliminate things that are readily.
What is your understanding of this alley? Is it an alley or is it just really just a driveway?
It's a private drive that is shared and owned by all those properties.
All four?
All four properties, yes.
So the other-
One, two, three, four, five.
Easement through there then?
Yeah, again, Bill Hugo's explained, it's, the legal machinations are incredible, but yeah, at some point in time, it was agreed that it could be mutually owned. By technicality, the public can drive through it, but it's not municipal.
Yeah,
And so it doesn't meet municipal width and other guidelines. So somewhere way back when,
You have to maintain it, all the neighbors have to pitch in, the city won't maintain it.
yeah, it's not,
It's very
it
odd,
has no right of way with it.
yeah.
So from what I remember, and this is 30 years ago,
Oh.
when that carriage house was converted into a residence, it was really cutting edge. At the time, bedrooms are down on the first floor, living room, dining room and kitchen. Upstairs was open floor plan, no wall cabinets. It was a big hit on the house parade, that's what I remember. The driveway was put through so that they could park behind it from either side.
Yeah.
And that provided parking for the carriages.
It's exceedingly difficult to drive through there.
Yeah, it is. And I think it was only intended for these two residents to be able to use access parking for them. And that was it.
I highly recommend getting the city's response of what that alley is, because if they don't view it as a public alley, you probably can't take half the width. If they view it as private property, if it's attached to this property, they might say you can take the
The
full
whole
width.
width. Yes, that's where I was going.
Is it,
I asked.
Okay.
Yeah. That map has been performed. Again, I know that Bill did quite a bit of research, had a lawyer involved in it, which is how we came up with the numbers. We're sort of basing off numbers that were previously, am I wrong there?
I also did vote too, so we're both, but we've aligned with Bill Hughes, so we both.
I just know we have an ongoing 5-property alley that is always in dispute. And the city's like, it's not ours.
Yeah.
And everybody assumed it was, so.
What also leads to questions about like the parking situation. Obviously, the property adjacent to it doesn't have some independent parking space in the middle of the rear yard, like.
Yeah.
So there are other questions.
Might just be worth doing the due diligence.
Has anybody looked at the deeds on these properties? You have the owner take a look at the deed, see what the deed says.
I know we do have the parking easement, we do have that, I don't know, I don't believe we have.
There might be some restrictions on the deed that talks about this.
Okay.
That might give you clarity.
Okay.
Like I said, I think it was done about 30 years ago.
Any other questions for us?
Thank you for your time.
Sure.
I guess I just have one question. Do you have a strong feeling, we talked about the band that separated lower from upper levels? Do you have a strong feeling about depth or projection of an overhang on the roof of the new addition? If we wanted to pull that out a little bit, all of a sudden that band or waist that's on the side there protrudes out a bit. Strong feeling?
Yeah, don't like it.
You like it being 3/4 inch and a half, no?
The wall staying essentially the same.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if you have to do that for the deck roof and stuff like that, you're gonna have to treat your differently.
I don't think we do. It's just.
Okay.
We don't need an additional space.
Okay,
It's nice.
yeah, no, I,
I mean, you can shove your wall in, then extend it back out.
Yeah, but then you've got a hyphen on there.
Yeah.
It gets messy.
So keep that condition as is.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Sure.
Very helpful.
Do we have anybody here for 180? Nobody here for 180 Lansing. Is there a motion to continue
I still move.
Second.
or window boxes?
Oh,
785,
The
Mohawk? What it is?
number 7, 180 Lansing Street.
number 11 was withdrawn.
11 was withdrawn.
Oh, that was withdrawn.
Item 7,
I mean, if you want to talk about 7, I have no problem with what they're proposing.
let's call it in. If we've got no problem with it, we can probably take a motion and
Yeah.
approve it if we're all in favor of it. So,
You want me to read the staff report?
I don't think you need to in this case. Item 7, COA 2500307, 180 Lansing Street. Let the record show the applicant is not here.
So I'm saying that in part because,
There's not a whole lot of information.
yeah, well, also staff has a different recommendation than what's submitted. So I
Okay.
don't know if we want to approve it as submitted or wait until we can have further conversation at a hearing where the applicant is here.
It'll be interesting what staff's got to say.
Let's read it in and we'll have to make a motion.
Reading it for the record, so this application is to install 9 window boxes under each window on the first and second floor on the south front elevation. At the May business meeting, the commission had no requests for additional information. HBO staff did check the files to confirm the construction date and the structure was approved for construction in 1973, making the structure old enough to be considered historic and contributing. While HBO staff is generally supportive of window boxes on frame structures, HBO staff are concerned with the material and number of proposed boxes on this property. Plastic products are not typically permitted for any building material in German Village, so HBO staff would recommend the applicant use a window box that is made of wood. HBO staff also recommended that window boxes only be placed on first floor windows to reduce the amount of ornamentation on the primary elevation to a typical amount for German Village. Staff recommends approval with any and all clarification to be submitted to staff for review and approval prior to issuance of a certificate with the conditions that the window boxes are only installed on the first floor windows and new boxes are selected from a more appropriate material. Basis for staff recommendation are the German Village guidelines on ornamentation, trim brackets, hood molds, shutters, light fixture, and City Code 3116 and 11 new standards for alteration.
Materiality is the question.
Yeah, so if further discussion needs to happen, I would recommend continuing due to the absence of the applicant.
So all due respect to staff. I have no problem with putting window boxes in all the windows in this house. Cause it'll just be fun. That's fine.
So you have a problem with number, do you have a problem with material?
To be honest with you, I don't, and I think a good box, which I believe this is, made of non-natural materials, wood boxes fall apart and people don't maintain them. And if they don't put a plastic liner in, they still fall apart because they get water running through them and everything else. I think these boxes will actually last longer than a wood box, to be honest with you.
I think we're gonna have to replace the siding before they replace the box.
That's absolutely true, and that's part of what you get.
I think it's also the age of this house, the actual siding material that leads me more okay with them being plastic or an alternative material, but
Siding already kind of bulging.
that's
It's really
nice.
new house too.
Fairly new.
1973.
73.
Yeah, that's all relative.
I'm okay with all windows. I'm
I'm more of a fan of just lower boxes being on the first floor and not the second, but it's not a strong.
I'm just concerned on the second floor, once they start adding water, then it's a streak.
Yeah, it's
True.
gonna streak, it's gonna drip down the siding, it's gonna get out the window.
We had a house on Beck Street that had them on, still has them on every single window, and everybody loves them.
Would also question, what's the window dimensions compared to box dimensions, which we don't have information on.
Yeah, that's true.
I would say this is probably a continuation.
Okay.
I'll provide the comments that the commission had discussed for a while.
Okay.
But
Is there-
we have you're probably right where I was with the mission.
Is there a recommendation or is there a
Yeah.
motion?
COA 25003071 180 Lansing Street, I move to continue.
Second.
Any questions on the motion? Those in favor? Aye. Against? And the motion passes. There are no old items.
Although we do have, are you here for a specific application?
No, I'm the referendum.
Okay,
Yes,
Society.
I'm filling in, so of course I don't recognize.
she's here for fun. If there
It's
is,
fun bunch.
Yeah.
there's no other, if there's no other agenda items, is there a motion to adjourn?
I so move.
Second.
Any questions on the motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Too bad.
When is caretakers for?